Hello. As the title says, I work at a 24/7 movie theater. Recently, a strange turn of events has me reconsidering my current occupation. You see, I work during the graveyard shift from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. Now, other than this theater being open 24/7, everything is the same. However, there are rules to the overnight shift that we must abide by. I can remember the first night on the job when my boss, Timon, showed me the ropes, reminding me that there are steps to cleaning and shutting down the bathrooms and how to clean the screening rooms in between movies. He took me to his office to show me a set of rules that we must follow. Okay, Andre, we have a set of rules that you must always follow, and if not followed, will be a cause for termination, Timon said sternly. I will have zero issues following, I spoke with extreme enthusiasm. Well, looks like you want to work. Okay, let's go over the rules then. He spoke in a happier tone. Rule 1. When it becomes 3 a.m., you must close down all the bathrooms until 4 a.m. Rule number 2. When cleaning out the theater, the light has to be on and you must be finished before the screen turns black. Rule 3. If a man without a face walks in, you are not to speak to him for any reason. Rule 4. All of the staff must enter the lobby at 3 a.m. and stay there until 4 a.m. Rule 5. If you see someone talking to a man without a face, do not attempt to stop them and look away. Rule number 6. Do not attempt to film or record anything that goes on here. I hope these rules are understandable. Now that we've gone through them all, is there anything that you need from me? He said nonchalantly. No, I'm good. I spoke, swallowing my nerves. He smiled at me and escorted me out of the office, then left the theater. I instantly got to work, cleaning the front room while a person named Cynthia taught me the ropes. She was a very nice girl and had been there for years. Hey, it's almost 3 a.m. and we need to close the bathrooms and then head to the lobby. Let me show you how. She seemed a little nervous as she said this. I followed closely behind as we walked towards the bathrooms. The only strange thing is how the bathrooms have deadbolts that are kinda hidden on the outside. Okay, first we knock 3 times and crack the door open and then ask if anyone's in there. She takes a deep breath and knocks 3 times. Anyone there? Custodians, we need to clean the bathroom at this time. She listened closely and heard someone say, "Oh yes, I'm almost done." A woman's voice could be heard in the background. Well, okay, thank you. She looked hurried and looked down at her watch, seeing the time clicking closer to 3 a.m. At the time when we were waiting, it was 2:57 a.m., and I could see Cynthia getting more and more on edge as the time got closer. Shit. It's 1 minute until 3 a.m. and she hasn't flushed. We need to lock the door now. Right when she reaches for the hidden deadbolt, the woman came out and says, "Sorry," and then walks to the theatre down to the right. Cynthia quickly locks the door and breaks out in a sigh of relief. Thank God she got out of there. It was then we heard a scream in the bathroom. Another woman was still in there. "Yo, we gotta help her!" I shouted as I reached for the deadbolt, but I was abruptly stopped by Cynthia, who grabbed my hand and pushed me away. "Hey, what the fuck are you?" I exclaimed until I was cut off. "Listen to me now, and listen carefully. We cannot open this door. If we do, you and I will die. Now we have to get to the lobby," she said with fear in her eyes and pushing me towards the lobby. In the background, I could still hear the unknown woman screaming as if she was being murdered. I can hear the screams even in the lobby, but when it hit 3:30 a.m., the screaming stopped, with the sound of tearing flesh and breaking bones. For the first time, I felt primal fear. The idea that someone was being torn to shreds made me feel like I didn't want to be there anymore. I slowly started walking towards the doors when it walked in. Standing in front of me was a man about 8 feet tall, wearing a suit and a bowler hat. He had no face, no eyes, no ears, no mouth, or even a nose. He looked at me, then looked at the front desk and continued walking. He briefly stopped at the front desk and placed 5 human fingers made of gold on the counter. He waited for the cashier to hand him what looked like a movie ticket made of pure light. He walked down the hall before a customer was walking down the same hallway, and they didn't seem to notice him. I decided to look around the corner and follow him with my eyes. He stopped in front of a picture on the wall and walked through it. I can hear everyone around me taking deep breaths. Cynthia pulled me to the side to speak with me. "Okay, so I need you to keep a promise. You and I are going to clean the bathroom, but you cannot say a word about this to anyone. What you see here stays here. Got it?" She looked at me with a fierce determination. Yeah, I promise." Of course, that was a fucking lie. She and I got to the bathroom and she took a deep breath and shakingly opened the door. As the door swung open, the smell hit me like a ton of bricks. The smell of rusty iron filled the air, and I could taste the blood as it pulled in the back of my throat. I was gagging before Cynthia handed me a filter mask, which seemed to solve the problem. We went inside with a pair of buckets and mops. The horror I saw was nigh unspeakable. Blood and viscera covered the walls with bits and pieces of flesh hanging from the ceiling. The blood on the floor was draining into the drain on the floor. I held back my vomit as we mopped up the remains of this person. This almost took us 2 hours to complete. Cynthia tried to tell me jokes to break the ice and help get my mind off the fact that I was cleaning someone off the floor. I don't remember much during it as I was disassociating hard, maybe to distance myself from the fucked up situation. We were about done when something walked out of the stall. A tall woman with wide eyes and an unnaturally large smile. She looked at me and Cynthia while smiling. I can see blood on her mouth and her teeth were very sharp looking. She bent down towards me slowly. While she was doing so, I can hear her bones creaking and popping in and out of place. This woman spoke to me. "Oh, honey, I'm sorry for all the mess. Hope you have a wonderful night now." She laughed a little as she was walking out. She had to crouch low to clear the doorway, and I never saw her again after this. Cynthia looked at me in shock, and I can remember seeing sweat bead down her forehead. You're so lucky she didn't kill you," she blurted out in relief. What? What do you mean?" I blurted out in surprise. "She's one of the regulars, a set of beings who never speak to us and are extremely dangerous. Only people who they speak to or who speak to them are generally the ones they kill and devour on the spot. The reason we lock the doors is to keep anyone from speaking to her, as she's always appearing in here at 3 a.m. For some reason, she didn't want to eat you." I was shocked and couldn't speak. I almost died. Why was I ignored? These things ran through my head and I lost track of time. And before I knew it, Cynthia was snapping her fingers at my face. "Hey newbie, you there?" She sounded upset. Yeah, what happened?" "Not much. You decided to black out, but I got the rest cleaned up. I understand this job pays well, but there are some fucked up shit that goes on down here." She laughed a little as she ran the mop out and the flood of crimson liquid poured into the bucket. Cynthia and I started walking to the first theatre on the left and waited for the customers to leave. They were watching the new Marvel movie and I can hear the end credits roll. Surprisingly, no one stayed for the inevitable end credit scene, but I wasn't going to question it. We walked in and tried to clean up as fast as possible. It was almost 5 minutes when the screen went black and we could hear the film slowly shutting off. The sound of the lights shutting down one by one echoed through the theater. "Run! Get out!" Cynthia screamed in fear and sprinted past me. I didn't question and just ran. All of a sudden she tripped and started crying and screaming, No, I don't want to die." It was then when I saw a tall, pale humanoid begin crawling out of the screen. This figure bolted towards Cynthia, knocking me down in the process. I can see this thing crawling over her body It quickly covered her mouth with some of its flesh. I saw it slowly start to merge with Cynthia. It pressed its body against Cynthia, slowly absorbing her. The pain and fear in her eyes showed just how terrified she was. I couldn't move. It was as if my fight or flight response was completely broken and I was unsure what to do. All of Cynthia was inside this thing. It then twitched its head towards me and slowly moved towards me. It stopped in front of me, staring into my eyes. It felt like a century passed while we were locking eyes. It then looked towards the film screen and started crawling back into it as the lights began to flicker on again. It was only but a few minutes later when I can hear the customers mindlessly shamble into the theater. It's only 30 minutes before I can clock out at this point, so I decided to go to the bathroom and just sit on the toilet to take a breath. I didn't know how to process these things, and in no time I heard my phone buzzing. It was finally 7 a.m. Time to leave. I ran to the clock to sign out. I had never been so relieved to go home before. Before I could leave through the front door, Timon walked in and stopped me. "Ah, how was your first night? Where's Cynthia?" he asked. She's gone. She was attacked by the thing on the movie screen. Looking back, this is all I could say. This was a nightmare, but oddly enough, he looked at me seriously and said, "That's not good. So you were able to make it out, huh?" he asked as he scratched his head. "Not really. I fell and the thing just stared at me. After absorbing Cynthia," I said while trying to hold back my feelings. "You survived. Interesting. Well, hey kiddo, what if I told you I'm gonna promote you and triple your wage if you stay working here? I'll do it starting tomorrow." He spoke with confidence and grandiose. "Let me sleep on it. Is that okay? I need to get home and sleep," I said shakingly. "Of course. Sleep it off and come back. We will be eagerly waiting." He waved me off and started to walk towards the exit. I got home and immediately vomited. I have never been so terrified of anything in my life. The money is going to be amazing, but I don't want to die. But it doesn't seem like I would. Tell me, have you ever seen the devil? I feel like last night I did. Anyway, Stay safe out there, people, for you never know what's lurking in the shadows. Well, hello everyone. Grim here. I don't know what was wrong with my voice right then. I'm going to blame it on me forgetting to drink some water. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed tonight's retelling, remastered, and reacted version of the amazing story I Work as a Custodian for a 24/7 theatre with some strange rules. You may be asking yourself, why did I re-record this? Well, I have good news. The story continues. There is a part 2 that I somehow didn't know existed. So I'm going to be releasing that next week. This tale was one of the first I was given permission to read, which it actually kind of holds a special place for me, you know. So if you do get a chance, and if you use Reddit, make sure that you go to user CrimsonBayonet and read their story, leave a comment. Have a good time getting to know the work that they do, because they've done several. Alright, I've dragged this out too long, but I thank you for taking the time to listen and keep up with my random ramblings. So as always, be safe wherever you are. Have a amazing night or day. And as always, this is Grim, and I'm, well, signing off.